Hello, everybody. This is Ducey Van Dusen, and our forever host, Crystal, is here with us. Hello.
Hello.
How's it going?
Great. So happy to be here today. I'm really excited. We have my partner in crime.
Yes. So I'm happy to jump in on the podcast, but we are also bringing in a fellow keeper, change it up a little bit this time, Paige. Paige, how's it going?
How's it going, everybody?
I feel like
I always love when Paige is on. It makes me feel like we're just chatting.
Yes, absolutely.
Which we do. The first 5 minutes of every with you and me.
Exactly. Exactly.
Great. Yeah. So
she knows where all the bodies are buried.
This is oh man. Okay. I thought we had great conversations, but I need to get in on the body burying conversation.
It's literally like my two besties we're on like a call, just a regular call chatting today.
That's
except
awesome.
We're going to have to provide some insight.
Well, more than
we're going to talk about something.
Yeah. More than just being one of our besties, Paige Clark. Paige, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do?
All the things you do.
So I work really closely with Crystal, and together we put out all the social content across all of our different channels. We work our live shows. I'd like to say we're producers because that sounds really fancy.
Yeah.
Like we're producing live shows. It makes me feel a lot more official than I find the talent put together the outline.
That's why I call myself a producer for this show, just because it sounds cool.
Yeah, it just sounds cool. What's your experience? I'm a live show producer.
Live streaming producer.
It does sound fancy.
So I kind of curate all the content that goes out on our channels, and I also am in charge of our social listening and also our user group and growing that on Facebook. And lastly, I oversee our advocacy program. So you might have heard me in episode something of one of the episodes talking about advocacy and reviews and word of mouth. So I also oversee that and make sure our customers are happy and sharing their happy stories.
That's awesome.
Exactly.
I had it up, so it's 93. It wasn't just great memory on my end. I did a quick search here. Episode 93.
Thank goodness. I was going to be impressed. I was like, how does he remember these? You always seem to come in clutch, Ducey. If we're talking about an episode, he's putting it in the comments so that we don't sound silly. But yeah, Ducey's always got that search ready to go. So today, I know we're talking about something near and dear to my heart, but Paige, why don't you share with what we're going to be talking about today?
Yes, I wanted to talk about a little bit of a niche part of social, and I absolutely love it when I see it happen, because there's a lot to cover when you talk about social media. There's a lot of different mediums and approach. There's a lot of different platforms that you can work with. But one of my biggest things when it comes to social media is utilizing the small business aspect in local marketing.
So important.
Yeah, and using local marketing mindset when you are on social media. And we'll get into it, but I'm on social media in these places where you have other small businesses. And part of me is just like, I wish I had a small business so I could be doing this, right? So I could be utilizing these tools and making myself known in various ways. So
totally. It's such a good thing. I don't know if you know, Paige, this might be a new thing for both of you, Paige and Ducey, but I got my start in marketing doing outreach marketing, which was a lot of local marketing based marketing. And the reason I started making my shift, because Paige, I'm a lot older than you, was because I started shifting, thinking the future of local marketing is social media marketing. And that's actually why I started moving into social, is because I felt like it was a good fit, and it was taking what people used to do door to door or phone call to phone call, business card to business card, to the digital world. So just a little tidbit there, but that's why I was so excited.
That's really interesting, because my first thought when I think social is definitely not local. stuff, right? Like when I think social, I think, why would I want to use Facebook or Twitter or Instagram or whatever? And it's like, so I can get a worldwide audience, right?
Right.
So what I'm hearing from the experts who I should be listening to is that there's ways to use this stuff for someone who's trying to focus on local, which from the advice I've heard from many of our guests over time, own your zip code first, right? Like if you can own your zip code, that is a great place to start in whatever services it is that you're offering. So tell me more about like how I can kind of have a little shift in my mindset of, well, what should I be doing to help locally, to work social for local stuff?
Yeah, one of my biggest things is that this strategy is really aimed at people who are locally bound. So you think of your real estate agents, right? They're not going to be selling, if you live in Arizona where we're at and they are in Texas, they're not going to be selling you real estate, most likely. Same thing with, I think, the financial sphere. There's different tax laws in different states. They'll have to know that. So that they'll probably focus within your own state, within your own community. I also think of my husband's a lawyer, so I think of practicing law, and there's different rules, and you have to be barred in different states. And so thinking of things like that, I think, are really beneficial when it comes to thinking of who your audience is. What kind of interaction do you have with your clients? I also think of, photographers. You're not going to hire a photographer in New York when you're in California, unless you're rich and can fly him out there. I mean, I've seen that happen too. But if you're really working on growing that small business, you want to focus on the people who are your market. And that's why you want to start with this local kind of bubble on social media.
Okay.
I think too, like when you think of a lot of the brands that you're bonded to, a lot of them, not all, but a lot of them are actual local businesses. You guys have heard me talk about one of my favorites, Cidercore, all the time. Ducey, I'm sure you've got some local favorite restaurants, local favorite, services. My real estate agent, we had him on the show, Frank. I'm very bonded to using him forever. I even told Frank that even if I get a boyfriend that's a real estate agent in the future, I will still want to use Frank. So a lot of the bonds you build, especially on social, can be with businesses that you learn a lot more about through their social media. I check every week. Cidercore drops their bomb. Thursday, they let you know what it is. Friday, the bomb comes out. I'm checking every Thursday their Instagram to see what the bomb's going to be tomorrow. So it's those kind of things that you can really accomplish on social through local marketing and really targeting in on your community.
My best, there's a restaurant that, now that you mention it, that is local. Yoko, shout out to Yoko Fast Food.
Nice.
They run a pretty good local social game, and they the thing is, they're very bad for my diet because it's often pictures of like custom orders of amazing food that people did, and the person that runs it, he's always taking pictures of their food and posting it online, and I'm like, that one little tiny tactic is very effective.
Yeah, the pictures of food will get you every time. Man, that's a dangerous. The other one that gets me, the other local one I can think of, Urban Cookies, and they post pictures of their cookies, their cupcakes, and all of a sudden I'm getting 4 cupcakes, 2 cookies. I'm like, oh Lord, I can't even eat these quick enough before they're gonna like start going a little. I mean, theirs last a long time, but eventually they go stale. So.
There's a place out by me that's called Karma Apple, and they have the most beautiful acai bowls and smoothies and cookies.
Nice.
Amazing.
I'm not gonna lie, I thought it was caramel apples.
I was going there too. I'm like waiting for her to say Karma Apples that makes caramel apples.
Yeah.
Karma Apple. Yeah, but they do a great job on their social too. But I think more so from discovering it or from creating those bonds is getting discovered on a social platform. Right. And I think that's where the most opportunity is. And Ducey, I kind of had the same mindset as you of social is for, the internet and expanding that bubble until I really moved out to this town I'm in now. And then someone said, "Oh, are you a part of this Facebook group?" I said, "No." And then they added me to Facebook groups. Now I'm in like 30 Facebook groups. 2 years ago, I was maybe in 5.
Yeah.
I am in so many Facebook groups, and it's all because people are looking for that close-knit community. But guess who also shows up in those Facebook businesses?
Yeah.
And that's really where I see the most opportunity for our small business customers.
So tell us a little. Oh, sorry, Ducey.
I was just going to say, when you're saying businesses show up in there, what you're saying is if there is, businesses should look to find groups, local groups on Facebook that are related to what they do and go become a part of those communities, regardless of creating their own group. Or are you talking about them creating their own group, or walk us through it?
A little bit of both. So, for example, there is a very large Facebook group for the town that I live in, and it is ran by a real estate company. But everyone in the town, well, not everyone, majority of people in the town are in this group. Like, this is the one group where everyone goes to. There's no other, group for the town.
Yeah.
Everyone goes to this town, and it's ran by a real estate agency.
Is this the group where the guy was asking for the date?
Yes.
Oh my, that sounds
the
like
weirdest things happen in this group. I'm not in the community, so I don't get in the group, but Paige tells me.
I
Paige,
send her
tell them how this
screenshots.
man was using it.
This guy I think he had like a wedding coming up or something like that, and he needed a date to it. And so he did like a little like bachelorette series on this like one thread.
Women were throwing themselves into the mix to get chosen. He had like an onslaught of like women.
That's amazing.
I don't know, what do they call that? A harem of women. He was harem. Thank you. He was picking from all these women that wanted to date him just from being in that group.
Yeah.
Well, besides finding a date,
true love.
True love. What can be better than true love? Honestly, we should just end here. But what is that real estate agent or company get out of running that business, running out that group for the town?
Yeah, so they get brand awareness, right? So,
okay.
They coordinated the name so it's a little bit like their real estate agency's name. But they also have this whole host of people, because people post in there saying, hey, I'm looking for a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment for under this amount. Not only are they able to represent themselves, but other small business owners are in there too, offering up their services to that thread. So other real estate agents, people who are offering their own houses. So another example would be in this group, a lot of different types of people are in there. And so someone goes in there, hey, I need a great chiropractor. Who do you recommend? You see 20 comments, 30 comments, 50 comments deep of people plugging their own businesses or plugging the businesses that they love in.
Okay, cool.
And
Paige,
so
why are we getting 50 comments deep on our posts? Just kidding.
Maybe I'll ask for I don't know,
a chiropractor.
Yeah, a chiropractor. But I see these opportunities, and there's a lot of people who are in the group who refer other people, but I just want to go to these business owners who are getting tagged and being like, you need to be in here. You need to be in on this, and you need to set up alerts for whatever you do. My husband doesn't have a Facebook, so I do it for him. So when people are asking for attorneys that fit kind of his niche market, I jump in there and I give them their name. And so I think Facebook group is a great way to identify those one-to-one connections you can have in your community, and also make connections and get your name out there. Yeah, it's a little bit manual, but think about, kind of the word of mouth and the spread of that. Not only are you answering that person's question, but anyone else who might be looking for a chiropractor that isn't bold enough to ask or doesn't want to speak up. That's how I found my chiropractor. I went to one of the threads and I scrolled through all of them, and I was like, oh, okay, like I hear a lot of good things about this person, and now I go to him.
Nice.
Fun fact, he's also friends with Scott Martineau.
Really roundabout way. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
But I think it's a great opportunity, and it pains me because it's free. It's very public.
That's the thing I love about it. I'm so frugal. I love anything that's free or cheap in marketing. That's like my jam.
Yeah.
Now, one thing I know is there's a few groups that I'm in that I'm thinking of that aren't local necessarily, but it's similar, where there's, people that are interested in a thing. And I know that they'll have some rules about how businesses can represent themselves. So do you have any thoughts around that?
Yeah, I would just say if you're in a group that is larger, they're probably going to have some guidelines around self-promoting and things like that. Just make sure you're sticking to the rules so you don't get kicked out. But a lot of the time, you're not the one soliciting, but you're responding to a question. I think those are okay. Like,
That's free
what do
game,
people use? ISO, which I found is like internet mom lingo for in search of.
Yeah, in search of.
So if people are doing ISOs on the channel, then it's a little bit more appropriate to kind of say, hey, this is what I do. I can help you out. So just make sure you pay attention to the group rules and that you're not being obnoxious, because if you're being obnoxious, no one's going to.
Yeah. And each group might have different rules. They might have like posting, how often you can post. Some do once a week. Some have a certain day where they say, okay, everybody do your self-promotion on this one day or whatever.
Right.
So you could probably create a little schedule, like based on all the, once you find all the groups, you can go, okay, now I can make a schedule that I can go repeat, so I don't have to go reread the rules every time I'm about to post. Wait, did I already use my 1 week promotion?
I think the most important thing with groups to remember is that you actually, like Paige was saying, you want to keep it about the relationship. It's fine to say, like, recommend people. It's fine to recommend yourself, but do it where it makes sense. Don't be just posting like ads you would put out on, Facebook that's not in a group. You want to keep it really related to the community. And if you're helping your audience in a group, it's going to come through as authentic. So you don't want to be like, we've got a $9.99 crack your back special here at this chiropractor. You want to be like more like, oh, I hear that you're having back pain and you're experiencing this. We can help with that with these ways. It's more like helpful than it is an ad.
Right.
So just keep that in mind.
And I think being generous in those groups too is really, generous in terms of, hey, like with the chiropractor example, here's some exercises you can try on your own. Here's some things that you should do. And if you're still having an issue, you know where to come, right? Like that.
Facebook groups is the place you do give the milk away for free.
Right.
You give the milk away for free in the group and you will get customers out of that. So I think Paige, oh, sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, I hope in this analogy, then you're selling the chocolate. Are we going for chocolate milk? Are we?
You're selling a subscription to milk. That's what you're selling. It's like
first one's free.
The first one's free, but then you're going to want milk every week, right?
Okay.
But anyways, Paige, one of the things I was curious about is we talked a lot about Facebook groups, but I do agree with you that Facebook and social in general is a great place to get discovered. So what are some of those ways that small businesses can be posting? Because both you and I are in love with organic. I don't know why we were created to love organic in a world of paid, but there's still a lot of opportunities for the organic social. So how can someone make sure they're discovered, I guess?
Yeah. And I think also with that is kind of the notion that your Facebook or I think of Instagram profile necessarily has to be public or business. That's like a big misconception, because I cannot tell you how many pages or profiles I've followed that are private, but because they engage with me, I was curious enough to find out what they're up to, what they're doing. So keeping that in mind, I think the first place you start, speaking of Instagram and Facebook and sometimes Twitter, if you want to go that route, is geotagging your location. But use that strategically. So you don't want to be tagging a place that no one's ever heard of. You don't want to be tagging, the taco stand on the side of the road because they had good tacos. You want to be tagging the more general area that is going to impact, that you want to impact. Don't be so stupid with it where you post a picture of a desert and then you tag yourself at Long Beach. You're obviously not in Long Beach. You're in a desert. Don't do that.
I have not seen that. That
oh,
would be
I see it all the time. I see it all the time with people who tag themselves in a completely separate location that has nothing to do. Like, they're more so tagging where they're at rather than where the photo was from. But I think it's a balancing act because, you know, we're close to Phoenix. And if you're geotagging locations in Phoenix, guess what? You're going to get buried really quickly in that feed, especially in Instagram. So if you're tagging in Phoenix, guess what? Things are going to pile on top of you because everyone else is tagging. It's a balancing act between finding something that has zero reach and has all the reach in the world. You want to be somewhere in the middle.
In the middle there.
And I'm Italian, so I'm talking with my hands here. Low
competition, large reach is what you would ideally want, right?
Right. So you want something with a lot of people going there, but not so many that you get lost.
So I would love if you could walk us through an example of doing that, like how something someone specifically might do, and then the benefit they would get out of it. Because when I come from a photography background, so I immediately think, well, I'm just tagging where the pictures were, not out of any more as just here's the information, you know, not out of trying to get any gain from it.
Yeah. So photography is a really great example. One, because it's Instagram, but I think of wedding photographers.
Okay.
So if you are I think of when I was planning my wedding, not only did I look up the photographer's information, but I went to that location that photos were tagged, or you can just search by the location. You don't have to go through a photo. You search that location for a venue, and I want to see what the photos look like in that venue. And then I can find all the photos and all the photographers I like who took pictures of that venue that I'm getting married at. And then I can shop around for photographers there too.
That's cool. Okay.
Did you see her face there, Ducey? She was so excited to share
I love it. It's such a great way because I think it's a very untapped way. Another example, I did some work for a wedding photographer, and this kind of segues into the next point of like how you can use geotagging or location tagging on Instagram specifically. But I'm not telling you to go poach people. That's not what I'm saying here. Let me disclaim that. But
oh Lord,
the Phoenix Convention Center was having their like wedding expo. But to have a booth there, it's expensive. Like you don't like some small businesses can't afford to have a booth at an expo. And so what I told this photographer to do, I said, go and find the hashtag for the expo and engage on every single person's post who's at that expo. Because, you know, the brides are going to be put like, yeah, I said yes. And like, I chose this place and look at me in this like goofy dress or whatever. And you can go and engage. And not only does that put you kind of in the pool, but it helps your Instagram profile rise to the top because you're having organic engagement. And every person you comment on could be a potential customer.
That is a great idea.
That is diabolical, but I like it. I like it a lot. Okay, so we've kind of looked at hashtags and geotagging. What else can they do to make sure they're getting discovered within the community they're looking for a local market?
Yeah, I think with hashtags, there's the go and engage on similar hashtags, but also figure out what hashtags people are searching for you for. I think that's a mistake a lot of businesses make when they hashtag things. They're hashtagging things that their clients aren't necessarily going to be looking for. Mm-hmm. So let me think of an example real quick here. They're not necessarily going to be looking for what kind of camera you use. We're going to go with this photography example.
That's actually a really good example.
Right. So people hashtag really Canon
focused on their cameras.
Right. Really hashtag focused. Canon, hashtag Nikon. Well, guess what? Unless you're trying to get discovered by Canon or Nikon, your customers, your leads are not going to be searching for you based on what kind of camera you use. They're going to be looking at Arizona wedding photographers, Arizona newborn photographers, you know, things like that. And so I think applying a little bit of a strategy and a little bit of forethought into putting yourself into your audience's shoes and really getting to know them from that perspective, and then feeding the content into that, because no one's going to be searching Canon. Don't search Canon, search something that's actually going to be applicable.
Are there
Unless you want to find a group of photographers, and then they're all using hashtag Canon or Nikon.
Right. Yeah. Because are you looking for? Yeah. Why are you looking for the photographers? Yeah. Right.
Right.
Are there any tools to help small businesses do that sort of thing, to figure out? Well, gosh, I wonder what my my target audience is searching for.
Yeah. So here we use a little tool called Hashtagify, and they have a
of course.
kind of. They have a free version that you can use that will show kind of the scope. So again, it's that big bubble versus zero bubble, and you want to find the medium bubble. You want to be in the middle.
We like around the 30s and 40s. If it's like ranking 30 or 40% popularity or score of popularity, those are like the ones that are like getting a decent reach but not being swallowed up quickly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and the things with those really popular hashtags, just something that people might want to keep in mind is that if they are very popular hashtags, then Instagram actually might block a certain amount. I've seen it. I think it was around like Christmas time where I posted something about Christmas and I hashtag Christmas because why not? I'm not a business. I was just trying to, be in the spirit. It was something like Christmas, and I actually went to the hashtag, and because so many things that I'm guessing were very inappropriate were being hashtagged, that Instagram actually stopped that hashtag, and so you couldn't see posts that were tagged that in the feed. So just keep that in mind when you go for popularity. You want to get something that's searchable, but you don't want something too big where you'll get buried in it.
The other tool people can really use is native. I feel like Pinterest and specifically Instagram, it's almost better to go in natively and check the hashtags as well, because you can see what other content is out. And if yours is prettier on those channels, it's going to rise to the top, because it's going to get more engagement. It's going to get more likes, pins, all that. So I like to look and check any hashtags that I'm planning to use frequently on the native channel. I'm losing my voice. I must
For a second, when you said native, I was like, I've never heard of that tool before.
I was about to clarify. I was going to say, for anyone who's new to it, I think
go into the profile in the platform.
Use Facebook's for Facebook. Use Instagram's for
Thank
Instagram.
you.
Yeah.
Yes.
I
was like, I had deodorant called native, but
oh my gosh, I don't know if I'd want my deodorant called like native. It gives me like a vibe of like they're not really doing anything to help me. Like I don't want my native smell. I wanted the smell that smells better than my native smell. Like my native smell is armpit.
Yeah, so
I would like flowery meadow.
So go into the platforms and search the hashtags. Yeah, that was my second point on that, is go search those hashtags, make sure that it's a hashtag that you want to be surrounded by, and it makes sense. And again, it's something your audience will be looking for.
When I think of local social, there's been kind of a little bit of an upstart. It's been around for a few years now, but Nextdoor is one of the things that I immediately think of. Is there anything to consider there?
Yeah. 100%. Yeah. And I think this was one that is a little bit, you could scoop it up in the social sphere. I haven't actually seen it categorized as anything else but a social platform. So if it is, prove me wrong. You can Google that right now while we're talking. But yeah, Nextdoor, again, I didn't discover that there's this area of it's like the dark web, but it's not the dark web. It's like the suburban dark web.
It's the dark neighborhoods.
It is. I'm a part of 3 neighborhood groups, but my little neighborhood, not like my community. My little neighborhood has 3 Facebook groups, and guess what? I'm a part of all of them. It's like the suburban dark web, and I think that's a little bit of what Nextdoor store is too.
That almost seems like an oxymoron, but I feel you. The next door app to me is scary because they're like, there was just a robbery, 2 miles from the dark webs of my neighborhood. Yeah, I'm like looking out the window, like, am I okay?
Yeah, so I think Nextdoor is a great opportunity because, again, it's that local feel and people are in the community. They're looking for something that ISO they're in search of, and they're going to try to find resources or services or businesses that you might be able to offer. And so jumping into Nextdoor, getting your name out there. Again, don't be spammy with it. People are associating you with your name. And I also would use this as kind of a cautionary thing. It's more so with like the Facebook, where a lot of groups don't allow your pages in. They just allow your personal profile. Right. Be mindful of what you post on your personal profile. I mean, this shouldn't have to be said, but if you're
it should
it shouldn't have to be said in the fact, but everyone should know this. Be mindful of what you post on your personal profile, because if you're going in and advocating for your business, people can tie it back to you. And if they go search your profile to see what you're about and you have profanity or inappropriate things or not nice things on there, then they're less likely to use you, if they're likely at all to
rightfully
use you.
So.
So like the same thing with the Nextdoor is if you're going around kind of, I don't know, being the bully. I see it a lot. I don't know if you, but there are like people who are bullying and like just not nice in the comments. And then you say like, hey, use my business. That's not going to really reflect great on you. But Nextdoor is another way to get really, really specific in your targeting and in your engagement to have that personal interaction with your community out there.
It does seem like a great place for that, for being personal like that, of just like, oh, hey, I live in this neighborhood and I do the thing you're looking for, let's chat.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I see it all the time in the groups where people are like, hey, who's our local handyman? And everyone uses the same handyman. I mean, I gotta give it to real estate agents. They have this locked down. We have a real estate agency that it's really unique. They don't physically own the community, but they own the community because they put on all of the events in the community. They offer up like socials and like community things. They orchestrate neighborhood garage sales. They have they started a group for this community alone. And I'm like, I'm going to use these real estate agents when I sell like one day. But it's just interesting that they've made that move, like where they're owning a group that all the neighbors are in. They're familiar with the area, and they're really accessible if you ever need. So I got to give it up to the real estate agents. They got this thing down pat. But it's more it's more than just for real estate agents. The strategy, your photographers, your attorneys, your lawyers, your chiropractors. Anyone could really make use of this local strategy.
Well, I would say all of these guys should be finding ways to partner with their local real estate agents. So if you're a local business, find ways to get in on all of the great stuff they're doing as well.
Yeah, that's
which is my last point. My last point probably for the entire day. But I was just going to say my love of local marketing. The other thing I would say is on social, you can also cross promote, which is one of the things that our friends over at Funk Fit are like so amazing at. They cross promote with a lot of the business there, the taco places, the like healthy foods, and they will geotag, hashtag, and all of that. The other company is doing the same for them. So you're now getting in front of a new audience, the people that follow each other. So cross promote, I think, is so important for local markets. Get involved with each other's businesses. Find people that it's a correlation to, like Funk Fit partnering with the healthy food service that delivers food, to people trying to lose weight. Brilliant. You're getting in front of both the audiences at the same time. So cross promote, cross promote, cross promote.
And don't be shysty about it. don't poach. Like, don't be saying, like, don't be geotagging a similar business that leads back to your business page. Actually develop partnerships. Don't be lazy about it. Don't be shysty. Actually put the work in. Find these partnerships. And yeah, that's a great also tip to get in front of different audiences.
That's
Totally.
awesome. Well, Paige, thank you so much for spending some time with us.
Yes.
Before I sign everybody off here, though, one thing that we didn't talk about was using Pinterest for local, and we have an article that you can go check out, and I just made a short link to it while we were chatting here, bit.ly/local Pinterest. bit.ly/local Pinterest will take you straight to an article that we've got about some of these sorts of tactics you can use to own local, but with Pinterest that we didn't really get to too much today. So go check that out. Paige, thank you so much for
Wealth
sharing
of knowledge,
your
that
expertise
Paige
with us.
Clark.
Yeah.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me. And honestly, I'd be happy to be back anytime, and we can break down social by profile.
Awesome. Is there anything that you think that our listeners should check out besides that article that I just pointed to?
No, but if you want to find me on social, it's Paige_Clark on almost everywhere. So
awesome. Fantastic. Well, go give her a follow for sure. You can keep up with her, and what do you post social tips and stuff there too, or is it mostly just whatever
social?
Comes across?
Yeah, there's social tips. I mean, there's a little bit of lifestyle. I mean, I'm not going to send
She
people
just
to my
planned an
hair.
event last weekend.
Yeah, I did run an event last weekend. That was a lot of fun. I'm not going to send people to my hair Instagram. Yes, my hair has its own Instagram account.
I love it.
We have talked about that before when you haven't been on.
Well,
about how great your hair is.
Paige a follow, hang out with Paige, get some social tips, and if you're really digging hanging out with Paige, you can hang out with Paige's hair too.
Yeah, so. I'll send you to my hair page if you're really curious about it.
Perfect. Well, thank you so much, Paige. Always great chatting.
Yep. Thanks, guys.
All right. Well, that's a wrap for this episode of Small Biz Buzz. Bye.
Woo-hoo.
Thanks for listening to Small Biz Buzz. Please take a second to subscribe to the show and leave a 5-star rating. It helps keep the show going. And if you need a hand with growing your small business, head over to Keap.com. That's Keap.com and get started. More business, less work. That's Keap.